My name's Avery, and my shoe size is 8, straight across the board.
My name is Tony, and mine is a 12. Fun fact, if you get the no-show things for the bottom of your shoes, I don't have to trim them.
What? Do you trim your no-shows?
No, the things on the bottom. You know, now they have
your insoles?
There's insoles that are now no-shows. So if you don't want to wear no-shows, you get the insoles that are just the bottom that you wash.
That's weird, and I don't like it.
And you can get, and it's always a 12 when you cut it down, but I don't have to cut them down. I can just put them right into business.
Great.
I have them in right now.
Great. And we love things that are red.
Hi, Gina.
And today we have Gina.
Hi.
Hi, Gina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. What is your red thing for us today?
Okay, so my things that are red are books.
Whee!
All books, memoirs, poetry, essays.
I'm so
all
excited.
Books.
Yes. So what, you have a book here.
I do have a book. It's one of my top 5.
Tell me why. Tell me about it.
So this is A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers. I read this in my late 20s, and it was kind of a pinnacle book for me because he was a writer and he wanted to start a magazine, like a counterculture magazine.
Okay.
But this book was written in a really loosey-goosey sort of format. Like he kept breaking the fourth wall, questioning why he was even writing a book. Like it's a really self-reflective memoir that was completely off the charts in the late 90s. Like it's not, that's not a thing that people did. So it was an amazing read, and it's one of my favorites, just not only because it broke the mold for writing at that time, but he was like the kind of first Gen Xer that showed up as the voice of our generation a little bit. And he also kind of went on to do like screenplays. He started a publishing company so he could publish other people's work. Yeah. Writing, tutoring like sessions and stuff. So like overall, he was kind of an iconic writer for the Gen X generation. He's one of my favorites.
Amazing. So you first encountered that in your late 20s.
Yes.
How did you hear about it, or how did you run across it?
It was in the zeitgeist. Like it was a big deal. Like because he was such an iconic writer at the time, and he came from nowhere basically. Awesome. So he had all these blurbs on the back of the book are iconic writers also. And so he had people out there pitching, and it just kind of became a machine for him. Like you look at interviews later, and he regretted every sentence that he wrote in the book because it was so revealing.
Yes.
Right? Like it was his life story, and his parents had both passed, and so it was him kind of working his way through life with his younger brother, and so it was really like heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. And so it was a masterpiece, but also really personal.
Right.
And
like
so,
that's me.
Yeah.
And
instant
now
regrets.
Everyone knows.
Instant regrets.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I guess I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like, especially memoirs now are so commodified. There's like a dime a dozen, and you hire like ghost writers to do it for you because it's like the latest celebrity or an icon, or
even like bloggers who have kind of taken off and gotten a following. Like all of a sudden there's a book out. It's
right.
Like,
Right. And it seems very sterilized these days.
There's a formula now.
Yeah. And so this is very anti that.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
Love.
Yeah. And he's kind of disappeared. He has a website called McSweeney's Internet Tendency, where he gets people to like submit writings and stuff. So you'll see a lot of famous, like Jesse Eisenberg submit stuff for McSweeney's and stuff like that. So you'll see kind of different people from different levels of society submitting stuff for that, but it's really funny.
Oh, it's
funny. It's good stuff.
What kind of screenplays has he done?
You know, I don't know. They just said that he is a screenwriter. I think his book was opted, and then they decided not to move forward. So I'm not sure if he's brought any to life yet. I'm not sure.
Dave Eggers did the screenplay Away We Go, and that's my favorite movie.
Of all time.
Of all time. No, I'm not lying when people are like, what's your favorite movie? And it's like, that's an impossible question to answer because there's so many favorites. But if I had to pick one that I always go back to and I always have a great time, it's Away We Go.
There you go.
Have you watched it?
I have not.
So the premise is it's John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph. And they play a husband and wife. And for some reason, the whole premise is like they're ready to move. They need to find a new city. So they go around to all of these other cities where they have someone from their life there to visit, just how do you like living here? We're just reconnecting, and that's the whole journey. And it is one of the most beautiful, poignant, like it's so real. All of those characters are so real, and the humor is so dry and unexpected. And oh my gosh, I had no idea. And so like connecting those with Dave Eggers, and I had no idea he did Away We Go. So what else? I know you have like a few in your mind of
I do.
pinnacle pieces.
Yes. One of my favorite authors is Dorothy Parker. She was an author in like the 20s and 30s. I found her a little bit late in life. I feel like my whole life would have changed if I would have found her in high school.
Really? Tell me why.
Okay, so she was a critic for The New Yorker. She was a book critic and theater critic.
Yeah.
And she was incredible at it. I love. So incredible that she got fired.
Well, I was going to say, and also like a woman in this time period with a strong opinion that was public, rare.
Yes. Yeah, she's famous for just burn after burn. Yes. And she was really good at it. That doesn't
sound like you at all, Gina.
Right, I know. That's what I'm saying. If I would have found her earlier, my whole career would have been modeled after her.
I didn't know that was an option.
Just taking the piss out of everybody.
Yes, incredible. Yeah, so she was fired from The New Yorker for just a scathing couple of reviews for people, but then she went on to do like seminal like poetry and short stories and essays, and she just has this ability to like turn a phrase. Nobody writes 5 words better than Dorothy Parker.
That's when, like, for me, we always joke because you are excellent at more of the short form, where I specialize more in the long form. And I love brevity. You would not know it from the stuff that I produce because I can take anything and put a lot of words to it. But that's what's so hard and so beautiful is the brevity of it. Like that's hard. That is hard.
Yeah. No, she's great at it. And she's a writer's writer. If that makes sense, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So one of my favorite quotes from her is, I hate writing. I love having written.
Yes.
It's like that's so true about the process of writing and how difficult and torturous it kind of is, even when we're doing fun stuff. But having it done and looking at it and being like, oh,
I did that.
I chose the right words.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the Flannery O'Connor quote about writing?
No, but she's iconic.
She's
as well.
something else. They're like, what do you like about writing or something? And she was like, I know it must be easy for you because you're so good at it. And she's like, yeah, it's easy. It's like giving birth to a piano sideways. It's easy like that.
Yes. Yes.
And as a non-writer, I just was like, oh, it's kind of like how people look at like children's book illustration, because like the thing is so easy to digest or so like comforting or whatever that you think the process of making it is somehow really anything like that. And it's like, no, you're ridding it of the whole world of pain on the way by subjecting yourself to it to make this pure little thing that
to
like
get to the end piece. But yeah, I love that. One of the writing quotes that I think about a lot, that I just remember stuck with me, and it's so cliche, is the "kill your darlings" quote that's attributed to William Faulkner. And not that I'm a Faulkner fan by any means, but kill your darlings. Like if you love it, you got to let it go. You can't hold on to it. You can't be precious about it. Get to the real heart of it.
I hated the red pens though, growing up.
Oh,
when I would turn in a paper.
Yes.
And people would red pen it. It literally looked like murder when you got it back. It was cruel. So many future writers died.
Yes. And like the felt tipped red pen that they're like, I loved the editing like symbols and learning those. And
that's fair. It was brutal. I took one grammar class in college and dropped it like a hot rock.
I failed grammar 3 times. Shouldn't tell you that.
Says the 2 writers.
100%. And my mom's like, Avery, that's not a funny thing to say.
I couldn't do it.
I'm like, it's hilarious. But it's also, I took it online twice, failed it, then took it in a classroom and did perfectly fine. I just learned online learning is not built for me, but
I cannot diagram a sentence to save my life.
Oh, what's the point?
Did you ever work with, there's our editor, we worked at a different place together named PJ. Did you ever work with her?
I remember hearing about her.
So she was a legend. She's unfortunately, rest in peace, has passed away, but she was an editor. And because writers feared the red pen so much, she would only use a green pen.
I don't want that though.
And but she would be like, just go forward with what you think is right. And like all the writers were like, because she was so good at her job. Like she was like the finest of fine tooth comb going through all the stuff that nobody else wants to look at.
I need that.
And then, but she didn't like the idea of restricting writers, but rather correcting them if they felt it was appropriate. And a writer that I worked with was like, he just loved her because she could say pretty harsh things, right? Like, this grammar's wrong, your sentence structure's wrong.
Oh, there's an art to a good edit for sure.
And somehow she would always like phrase it towards, but this is your thing, however you want that to work, but these are considerations. And I just thought that was maybe a better way to approach editing a little bit.
That makes sense. I also did poorly in newspaper writing because it was very structured.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm free to start my sentence with a but.
Yes.
Any day.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I feel like what we do is more, or what I do at least is more on the poetry side of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Than the
that makes
news reporting side.
So
there's a little more freedom in what I do.
And I try to get away from the news reporting side because there's a time and a place for that. Like we were just writing a press release and again, it's gotten to the point too of like, edits don't scare me. Edits don't hurt me because this is a press release and it's not my little darling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, all of our information needs to be in the first paragraph. Like, regardless of what we wanted to say, everything needs to be in the first paragraph because people will stop reading after that or it will get cut off. And that's just how press releases are. But
no, people read every word.
That's right.
To the end.
To the end. And they think about it after.
They really do.
Very important.
They take time to reflect. Now, what are they going to be doing at the trade show? Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What are some other like key authors for you?
So speaking of punctuation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So one of my favorites is Cormac McCarthy.
Okay.
So he did, the one that I like the most is The Road, but he did a trilogy that they've made into a movie, like All the Pretty Horses, No Country for Old Men. Like he's famous for that kind of trilogy movie, but his actual novels, his prose are very free flowing. Like he can have a whole page where there's no commas, no period, like nothing.
I love
but
that.
He paints a picture.
I love that.
And it's moving. Like it's incredible. I like the freedom that he bakes into his writing, even though all of his works are incredibly dark.
Sure.
Like painfully dark.
Sure.
Like you hurt when you're done with them. But the way that he paints a picture and the way that he does dialogue, he doesn't quote dialogue or anything. You just have to figure out kind of who's speaking and why. I really like the people that play with structure. Like you say, like I don't need experimental stuff that I can't like get into the far off stuff.
Right.
But if you're telling a story and you need to not use a comma where you're supposed to,
100%.
Cool with that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it.
So this is why I'm not adding much.
I know we're geeking out over here.
Yeah, I think I had ADHD in high school, so I couldn't really get through like a paragraph or two without being able to. I just couldn't remember it. My grades were really bad. So I'm just starting to learn about reading as a grown man, which is kind of a wild ride.
I love it.
But kind of what got me into it, this is where it gets extra weird, was advertising because the writers always had the best ideas. And it's like, how does this kind of work? And then I was listening to a lot of music and songwriting. And I'm going to take it heavy for a minute. So when my mom was passing away, through that process, I'd just write these little lines or these little lyrics. And I had this long email thread called lyrics ? And it was hundreds of like no form, no format, reply, double reply, mess. And so I ended up having that. And then a previous coworker of ours was a poet. And I'd mentioned it on a thing. And she was like, let me see it. So I forwarded her, Kelsey Bigelow's her name, the whole thing.
She's a local poet, by the way. Check her out.
And she took it and she'd lost her mom as well. So she took it and put some of the lines, combined them completely. I don't know how to explain it. Like I gave her such a mess that she just like took a piece from this thing and this thing, and she put it in her book because she was so sweet. So there's like 2 or 3 co-written poem things. So I both read like 5 books in my life at that point, and was in a book of poetry. All these people have all this like years of reading behind them, and I'm like a freshman lit person who's like, what is this? So it is kind of.
Yeah. Mine was born out of I grew up an only child on a farm.
Right.
We had 3 TV channels.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And like no video games, like there are some days you can't go outside on the farm. So book, I guess. Right. So, I mean, like that's where it all started for me, which makes sense that would be a natural entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, like, an escape and
yeah, for sure.
So were you going to the library? That was the spot, or you could actually buy books?
So that's the other thing. No, I mean, like we had a really great library in Webster, and the children's library was on its own separate floor.
Amazing.
But it's not like my mom was driving me into the library every day, so it was very limited. And then the famous Scholastic book fair twice a year. You get a new
$400 worth of books.
Oh my gosh. I was always looking for the books with the little extra charms or whatever.
Yeah. So no, I didn't have access to it. I mean, our kiddos, the stuff that they have access to now it's insane.
It's wild.
Like the sheer amount of books and the variety of books. And
we were talking about the other side of that now with the parenting thing, where now there are books that they talk about everything, and they can be at times really explicit, really young. And so you'll pick something up and you'll be like, not all books are good books, at least at that time. And so it was a parenting like, okay, like at that age, my parents would have been like, well, he's probably going to do better in school at least.
Right.
And now the girls, like, to them, like looking at the iPad and reading, those are the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they're both like just entertainment to them. And also, right, like there may be like, all right, there's thematic elements that I don't love, but maybe there's a part of that character that they really relate to. And so you have to be kind of careful on the like hard lines of like, oh, they talk about this topic. Well, yeah, but also is there something in there that they can't talk to me about that they can relate to? So that's just a really interesting, people want to put every book in either this camp or that camp. 100%. And it's like, man, there's probably a little good and a little bad in most books.
Right.
And so you got to kind of, as a parent, go,
don't ban books. Keep them all.
Where are you going to direct? I think direct's a better word than.
Yeah.
There are some that I just be like, yeah, you're not reading that. But
for sure.
But I don't think most of those they would choose to read anyway. Or if they did, they'd be like, And again, going back to, not to like, stand-up writers too much here and say how great they are, but like how much of that stuff all goes back to the writing, right? Whether that's film or art or whatever. That's why writers are so grumpy. It's because you guys don't get the credit, right? Generally speaking, right? Like that's the whole Hollywood thing. Writers are mad, because they're not.
Writers strike, support writers, yeah. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we love things that are red.
Red. With the EAD.
EAD. We love things that are red.
Yeah, that joke.
Thank you for listening to Things That Are Red. This has been a Red Dot Labs production. For more episodes and information, check out red.ad.com and be sure to follow Red Dot Branding and Marketing on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks.
Word.